y'all? This is Daniel. Welcome to another episode of Blunt Talk, baby. How we doing? Thank you for all the love and everything that you guys have been like reaching out and showing appreciation to all the episodes. I'm so grateful. I can't stress it enough. And thank you. And today's episode, we're going to be talking college basketball. And what better way to do it with one of my former coworkers slash team managers when I worked at Ryder Men's Basketball than my brother, Jahki Clarke. How we doing, Jahki?
Oh man, I'm doing good, man. How you doing?
I've been doing okay. Finished the semester basically. Got on the
Mm.
dean's list, by the way. Got on the dean's list, and I've been just pretty much applying to jobs nonstop ever since. Because a man's got to get a job, and a man's got to work and pay off student loans. You know what I'm saying?
I hear you, man. Soon, hopefully soon, I'll be doing the same thing, man.
You got one semester or like a 1 year left?
Yeah, 1 year left.
1 year left. Okay, so you'll be in my shoes soon.
Yeah,
How's the
man.
quarantine been for you?
I mean, quarantine has shown me a lot. I started working out a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
I started catching up on just basketball stuff.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest with you, I caught up on a lot of stuff. I feel like if you come out of quarantine not knowing something or you're lacking a skill, then what would you do in your whole quarantine? You know what I'm saying?
That's a good point. I brushed up on a bunch of old basketball footage like Steve Nash, Jason Kidd, AI. I've been watching every finals of the Lakers. I'm watching old All-Star games. You name it. I'm just trying to brush up on everything.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel you on that. I mean, I've tried to work out, but like I don't have like the equipment or everything here. I'm just doing like jailhouse workouts, like the
Yeah,
most amount
same.
of calories. But I feel you on that. And Jersey just opened up or like is about to open up, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, something like that. Some of the places they still not considered lockdown, but like they're starting to slow back up. Just
Mm-hmm.
recently, I heard that restaurants are doing outside dining, so it's not very a lot of people doing it. So
Yeah.
it's limited to people that comes in, and then uh, it's slowly. We're in phase 2 from last time I heard.
Okay.
So we're close to everything going back to normal. So.
And let's hope it happens sooner than later. But
Mhm.
yeah, we're kind of here in the same like situation. Like just Friday, we are in phase 2 now, and you can see it around like my town. Like restaurants are finally having like the outdoor space and the parking lots and things like that. So it's good to see
Yeah.
some businesses try to do the best of their abilities to what they can do due to the whole situation. And hopefully the economy and everything just comes back to normal, even though it's going to take some time, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
Now, we're both very big college basketball fans. Sadly, due to the coronavirus pandemic, we didn't get no March Madness. And I think every person that loves sports can say it's one of the most sad things that can happen to you when you see, when you say there was no March Madness this year.
Mhm.
But thank God the NCAA committee had tried to do a plan like they were gonna do like a 16-team March Madness with no fans,
Yeah.
but that got tossed out the window. But I managed to find the bracket, and we're just gonna go over like the teams, and we're gonna do our predictions and just analyze what we think would have happened if this March Madness tournament would have gone out. You want to start like, cause it's Southwest, Midwest, and East. Would you want to start like South or like the opposite side?
We can do the Midwest.
Midwest. Okay, so unlike the NBA playoffs, for those listening, March Madness is a single game elimination, so you gotta bring your A game every day, and you cannot mess around. So it's basically who came to play with their best of their abilities that day. First matchup we got number 1 seed Kansas versus number 4 seeded Wisconsin. First thing I want to say about my boys in Kansas is Rock Chalk Jayhawk. But no. I'm playing. But my boy Udoka Asaboki, that's Shaquille O'Neal point 2, baby. How you feel?
Mhm.
That man was a beast.
Uh, with that matchup, is no brainer. That's Kansas. Like
That's
you
Kansas.
said, it is no. He has no There's no matchup with that guy. I got the chance to actually watch Wisconsin play Ryder on TV, and even though it's Ryder, I see some flaws with Wisconsin. They don't really
Yeah.
bang like Kansas do. So I'm gonna go with Kansas with this one.
Plus, when the NCAA released like their rosters, like all American teams and like the defensive teams and rookie teams and all that, What's the name of their guard? I forget. It's like Davion Dotson, something like that.
So it's similar like that.
He's got clamps. Like I don't think any one of the Wisconsin people are gonna get past him. So you got that combination of people. And did the guy that got in the fight at the early in the season, is he like his suspension's over, so he's coming back, right?
Yeah, but Selve, I mean, he helps. He helps the Jayhawks, but when you have the center like they have, that has minutes, the paint, they guard play. I don't think Wisconsin has an answer for that.
Yeah, like I was seeing it in games throughout the semester. They would easily do like a small lob pass to him at the post. He would catch it and just grab it and just go with it. He would just jam on everybody. I'd be like, oh, what? Like half the time, because it's kind of impressive. Like I feel like if you give him like Hakeem the Dream's like footwork, now that's like game over for him.
Yeah, the kid's a monster.
Mm-hmm.
So
we gotta give it to Kansas. I agree, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Then we get Kentucky versus Seton Hall, which is an interesting matchup in my opinion, because these Wildcats this season were all over the place.
Yeah.
And it's like one of Calipari's weirdest teams, I guess you could say.
Well, that team was, in my opinion, was very young. All Coach Calipari's teams are young. So, but with this team, what make them so unique was they had to learn to play with each other. In the beginning of the year, if you saw, they didn't look so good.
Exactly.
And when the season started going around, they started building more chemistry. And then they start beating a couple teams with the Seton Hall team. And you already know that bad man, that Miles Powell. In my honest opinion, if he's rolling, there's no stopping Seton Hall.
Mm-hmm. I feel like it's like Seton Hall goes as far as Miles goes. You know what I mean?
Yes. And
so if he's having my bad.
No, you're fine. Once, it's not – they have multiple weapons on that team. But I would say if Kentucky needs to win, they will have to pray for Miles Powell to have a bad game. Even though he gets his team involved in the way how he can shoot the deep ball. So it opens up everything for his team. So in my honest opinion, I would have to give that to Seton Hall. If Miles Powell comes to that game, that he has done for the last 4 years at Seton Hall, there's no doubt in my mind. He done it before against Kentucky. I'm pretty sure
they played this season, right? Or was it last season? You mean?
It was last season, and that was in my opinion, I think that was the best game for his junior year, where it was at Madison Square Garden and Kentucky versus Seton Hall. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He put.
But I don't remember much of Miles Powell like in the previous years, but like just every sports center highlight, everything on Instagram this season was Miles Powell. Even like a layup, a dunk, an assist, a flashy pass, whatever, you name it. He was like one of those. What it's called the John Wooden Award, right? And I believe Obi Toppin, he's the winner of this season, right?
Yes.
But you can't tell me Miles Powell didn't have like his hand up there. You know what I mean? He wasn't reaching. He wasn't grasping that like award.
Well, in my honest opinion, I think Miles Powell was the best player of college basketball this year.
The stats prove it.
Where he's at as a player, and each year he got better and better and better. So a player like that is rare to find nowadays because his stock went up after his junior year. I think he felt more comfortable coming back to college, and that was a smart decision for him because now look at him.
He's from Jersey.
Yes, sir. Trenton, New Jersey.
Trenton, New Jersey. I did not know that. That's fun. That's crazy. He averaged 21 points, 2.9 assists. He had like 80% from free throw. His 3-point percentage was only 30. Field goal percentage was 40. I mean, his percentages weren't the best, but his like efficiency, like player efficiency rating 22.3, which is as an average, that's pretty good. So he can definitely back it up. That's what I mean.
Yeah,
so
he played with the best of them.
So you would say Seton Hall?
I would say Seton Hall on this one.
That's the thing. I really can't see Kentucky really winning this. Like they have the history, like and the blueprint and whatever you want to call it. And historically, like Calipari teams are just unstoppable. Like this team has been so up and down and just all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they. I think it's going to be a lackluster effort from them against Seton Hall. So I gotta go with Seton Hall too. Let's see. So we'll follow up with the East region.
Mm-hmm.
You got San Diego State versus the University of Maryland. Now these two schools were really good this season, but
Yeah.
the one thing I can remember, like the first thing that comes to mind was the season San Diego State was having.
Mm-hmm.
They were like what 25-0.
Yeah, they was at a certain point they was the only team that was undefeated
Mm-hmm.
for this season.
That always means something.
Well, yeah, they got a good coach over there at San Diego State. I believe, in my honest opinion, the conference that they're in, that's not the best. They still have some good teams that you should really watch out for. But in my honest opinion, that's a tough one. I would sit here and say that's a
They were 30-2 this season. That was how they finished the season. And to your point that you said that their conference is pretty trash in my opinion. Like it's not a very competitive conference. I've always said put San Diego State in the I'm blanking. In the Pac-12, put them in the Pac-12, see how they could do there. Same with Gonzaga. Like those two schools that are up there in the West, put them in the Pac-12, see how they compete there.
See, and I agree with you on that. I see Gonzaga in a better conference, but then again, their conference, it's not the best conference, but there's teams that would surprise you if they ever made it to the tournament. But in my opinion, I think, Gonzaga proved them over the years they can play with the best of them. So I can see them if they announce that they're leaving that conference and joining probably like the Power 5 conferences out there. And I wouldn't be surprised with it.
San Diego State had a kid that was Malachi Flynn, I think that's his name, right?
Mm-hmm.
One of their kids was averaging 17.6, 4.5 rebounds, and 5.1 assists. Man's doing it all. So when we look at it against Maryland, I'm gonna give the nod to San Diego State on this one.
Yeah, I would give San Diego, even though Maryland over the years defensively they've always been tough in my opinion, but offensively, I don't think they have enough firepower as San Diego State does. But then again, like I said, it's a tough one. That is a huge tough one. But I would go with San Diego State.
San Diego State, because I'm trying to think of Maryland. Was Bruno Fernando their center last season, or is he still in? He was still there this season, right?
To be honest with you, I haven't really looked up on San Diego State. To be honest with you,
Maryland. I'm talking about Maryland.
Okay, I thought I was going to say. Yeah. I think he was there.
Because one thing I think is curious about Maryland is that they've had interesting big guys in the recent decade, I guess. Alex Len. I mean, he wasn't the best in the NBA, but in college he was a formidable player.
Oh yeah, he was a big notch on campus.
You remember Diamond Stone?
Yes.
That man was highly recruited from high school, and then for Maryland he was supposed to be the big guy. Is he still there? I think he fell off the face of the earth after.
Yeah, I remember the name, but I haven't heard it recently. So
Anthony Cowan, that's their guy, the one from Maryland.
Yes.
And Jalen Smith is supposed to be a top 20 pick in the draft. But, I mean,
oh yeah, Anthony is a very good guard. I actually got the chance to watch Anthony play throughout the my AAU experience playing for DC Assault, and I knew that kid was a baller. That kid was a baller.
And he's a senior too, so you never know if he might get reached out by one of these NBA teams or G League. You never know.
Yeah.
So I think we can both agree on San Diego State then, even though it's a tough matchup.
Yeah.
Okay. Now this matchup, you got Duke versus Dayton, 2 versus 3. You got Obi Toppin versus the Blue Devils, baby. What's your take? I want to hear you talk first.
I'm a Duke fan, but Toppin, that's a bad man. And I believe even though I honestly believe Duke has enough firepower to compete with this team, I'm pulling up an upset with this one. I'm going with Dayton with this one. Just
Well, I
because.
mean, I get what you mean with upset, but technically Dayton would have been a higher seed. But like,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
no one expects Dayton. No one expects Dayton in the situation. I know what you mean.
Yeah. Well, with that, the reason why I picked them is because I watched the game when they went against Kansas,
Hmm.
and I saw how that team played. And most teams that play against Kansas, that's from like the lower conferences, they don't really compete, or they wouldn't give them the run for their money. But
Yeah,
Dayton, it's the reason why they was ranked number 3 in the nation this year. Those boys know how to play.
deservedly so. They really put up the put in the work. Obi Toppin
Yeah.
deserved that award, and
Mhm.
obviously we made the argument earlier with Mouse Power, but still at the end of the day, Obi Toppin, senior year, doing this out of nowhere. Like, I mean, not trying to say like disrespect him saying this out of nowhere. He was trapped. Like, you know what I'm getting at. Like, the man came out of nowhere as a surprise, and then he brought them to like what they did this season. And then
Mhm.
Duke, on the other hand, they've kind of been a little bit like Kentucky, I guess you could say this year, that they haven't been up to par with like every Duke team in the past.
Yeah. Well, when you got a 6'9" that can dribble the ball, shoot the ball, and pretty much make his teammates better, in my honest opinion, I think you can go far. And to be honest with you, if this bracket did come out or Corona didn't stop everything, I believe Dayton would have been probably, in my honest opinion, Elite 8, Final Four.
That's a bold take, but I mean,
I stand by my statement because if
uh-huh,
you look at that team and the way how they was rolling,
uh-huh.
I could see it happening. But then
They were rolling on all cylinders. I agree.
but then again, it's called March Madness for a reason. So who knows?
Anything can happen.
Anything
Because
can happen.
with Duke, they really only you got Trey Jones and Vernon Carey Jr., who I don't know. Would you say Vernon Carey was having like an overachieving or an underachieving season?
Um, he was having an achievement season. I honestly believe the kid was good. I think he was a good player for Duke. See a little bit, a tiny little bit of Zion in him, the way how he can bully people to the paint.
Uh-huh.
A little bit more skill set than Zion, can shoot the ball a little bit better. But overall, I think he had a solid season. I think it's something that I expect out of him. Trey Jones, I think he shocked the world on how he can be a leader with that
Uh-huh. Definitely.
and still
Especially
be
after last
able.
season when it
Oh,
was
yeah.
Barrett, Reddish, and Williamson. Okay, yeah, you can be the fourth fiddle, Trey Jones. We just
Yeah,
need you to be the ball handler. Now it's his time to shine, and he stepped up, and he's doing like big boy stuff right now.
yeah. Well, when you look back when his brother played,
Uh-huh.
brother was in the same predicament where he was the fourth option. So Trey Jones, he did an amazing job developing his game, where he became a little bit more of a scorer and
Uh-huh.
continue and increase his defensive mindset.
Uh-huh.
Honest opinion, I think that kid's gonna be a first round draft pick. I think
Hopefully it works out for him
yeah,
because
I
he
think
was
that
putting up numbers, and he was actually being like a good floor general for Duke. If it wasn't
yeah,
If Vernon Carey wasn't showing up, Trey Jones would have to pick up the slack. You know what I mean?
yeah,
I just looked up at Carey's numbers, and he was averaging 18 points per game. He had 1.6 blocks, and he had 8.8 rebounds. But I'm gonna just say nine. Nine rebounds. That's good.
yeah.
That's really good.
The kid, yeah, he's gonna be a lottery pick. In my honest opinion, he's gonna be a lottery pick.
So we're going with Dayton. I'm gonna say because I don't think Duke has enough firepower this time against Obi Toppin.
I'm a Duke fan, man, but that also a tough one. But I would have to go with Dayton on this one.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm a UNC fan, so I just said it to get away with you. Let's go with the other side of the bracket, and then we'll go back to like the other matchups.
Okay,
You got Baylor versus Oregon, 1 seed versus the 4 seed. Peyton Pritchard was, bro, he
that
was on some other
that's
stuff.
that's a tough kid right there, I believe. But
And he's a senior too. He's one of those kids that stayed in college and done it like not at the
yeah,
same level, but like you're not we're not surprised he ended up being this good. You know what I mean?
Well, no, I got the chance to see him play. I believe last year I actually got to sit here and focus on him on TV, and the kid's good. The kid's really good. Actually, I actually got to watch him play when Ryder played them in the NIT. Yeah, the NIT. And the kid's tough. The kid's very tough. You know, he's very sound, very fundamental sound, skilled, coachable. You know, I think any NBA team will be lucky to get that kid.
He's definitely going to be a solid backup point guard,
Well,
at least for like any team.
Yeah, you know he still got room to grow, in my honest opinion. But the kid, I think he's NBA ready.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Especially he's a senior. He's been doing it with like, if it wasn't for him, like, is Oregon like this relevant? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree with you on that one.
Like in the recent years, they've had that comes to my mind. They've had Dylan Brooks, who was a sharpshooter, clutch. They had Bol, but his season wasn't really that significant to them.
Yeah.
Troy Brown Jr.
They also had one of my good friends, Louis King, who was a 6'9".
Louis King. Yo, I remember when he got drafted.
Yeah, man. The joke. See, Oregon always had players that was very good, in my honest opinion. Even though the Pac-12 is not really a powerful conference, it is still a good conference, in my honest opinion. I think Oregon will give Baylor a run for their money, but the way how Baylor's playing, man, they was balling.
They were having a really good season this year,
and they got guards that could put the ball on the deck and get to the rim. Baylor always had big men that was very physical and brolic. So even though Oregon has that, but I think Baylor, when it comes to the guard play, I think Baylor will win that. So I'm gonna go with Baylor with this one.
I gotta give it to Baylor too, to be honest. They were just the season they were having. They were playing against teams like Kansas, putting up fights and like winning. Like trying to look back into it, like Baylor they were 26-4 this year technically, and 3 of those games were conference defeats. So like before that, they were just clean, like driving like away with it. And I think it's kind of a little undervalued because we had San Diego State, then you had Kansas, like all these other teams that were like at the top. Like people don't really remember that Baylor was number 1 in the nation for a while this season.
Oh yeah, it took my surprise when I saw Baylor became the number 1 team in the nation. But when I sat there and watched them in the first semester, I think that team was so athletic but so defensive minded. It sounds corny, but defense really helped you win games.
It's not corny at all. It's the truth, bro.
But it's true. It's true. So I will go with Baylor for this one.
Yeah, I gotta go with Baylor. I like Peyton Pritchard, but I just don't feel like the supporting cast for Peyton Pritchard is anything to match up with Baylor right now. How about Villanova and Florida State?
Villanova and Florida State.
I'm trying to think who Villanova had this year. Was it Jeremiah Robinson Earl? Or was that guy like last season?
Who say that last name?
Jeremiah Robinson Earl. It's like one of those names with a hyphen for the last name. He's like a power forward. He was really good, but I think he might have been for last season. I'm trying to look it up as we speak. As for Florida State has been on the come up recently with all these teams they had in the recent years.
Yeah, well, Florida State is probably, in my honest opinion, I think the ACC is the toughest conference in college basketball.
I agree. It easily is.
Yeah, and they also have I would probably say a really good coach over there at Florida State. So when it comes to the recruits, it wouldn't blow my mind for Florida State to have that type of season that they had in the ACC. But with Villanova, Jay Wright, that's
Jay Wright is one exceptional coach.
That's every year Villanova always had a tough team to go against. But I don't think they have. Then again, it could happen.
It wasn't the best Villanova team. That's one thing
No.
we can both agree.
This year is not the best Villanova team they had this year.
So Villanova had Saddiq Bey. You remember him?
Yeah.
And then I was right. Jeremiah Robinson Earl was averaging 10 points, 10 rebounds, and 2 assists. But it's just not that like eye-popping or crazy in my opinion. Like Villanova, like there were a good side team this year, but they kind of struggled a little bit too.
Oh yeah. But if I would have to sit here and say who would win this matchup, just because of Florida State's background of athleticism, defensive wise, I would definitely go with Florida State with this one.
Even though I'm not trying to be biased because I hate Villanova for like when they played UNC. I think Trent Forrest and Devin Vassell for like Florida State, they're like those guards are just too much for what Villanova has to offer. Both coaches are exceptional. And honestly, I wouldn't be upset if there was an upset here, but Villanova doing like something incredible because they're both teams, they're both formidable. But I have to give it to Trent Forrest, Devin Vassell, and the Florida State like Seminoles because I think they got this. What you said, the athleticism, the defense, just like the way that team's been playing recently, and not just this season, the last few years, you gotta go with them.
A lot of people forget that Florida State almost pulled the upset with Duke.
No, I don't forget.
RJ Barrett was there, and offensively, Duke didn't have an answer till late second half. So, like I said, that's the team. That's the team. I'll go with that one.
They had Jonathan Isaac recently. They had Dwayne Bacon. They had Mdieflun Kabungel. I don't know if I said that right. I probably butchered it. You know what
over
I mean?
the recent years, Florida State produced NBA guys.
That's what I mean. They have a decent amount. They have at least like a starting 5 of NBA guys or guys that have been in the NBA for a bit. I give it to Florida State. Florida State's got it for me. Now the final corner region, whatever we're gonna call it, you got Gonzaga as the 1 seed versus Creighton as the 4 seed.
That's a no-brainer.
Yeah, I think Gonzaga has it. I mean, Creighton's good for the Big East. Like they're like, I like that they went to the Big East because it's what we were talking about with like San Diego State, that they should go like to a bigger conference to see how they can do. Like Creighton did it, and they're showing like, yeah, we're still a good program. Don't matter who we playing.
Yeah, I would say Gonzaga because of the type of players that they have. They have a ton of little players that can shoot the ball, like fun basketball sound. And that coach over there in Gonzaga, he shocks the world every year he gets to the March Madness. Honestly,
he really does.
I don't think he shocks the world. I think everybody expects Gonzaga to go as far every year.
They had Filip Petrusev, their European big guy, 17.5 points, 8 rebounds per game. He was killing it. And then you get Corey Kispert, the white guy that played in – you remember when Gonzaga played Duke in the Maui Invitational, and that was a crazy game? That was their white forward that played alongside Rui Hachimura. Those two have been like the forces for this Gonzaga team.
Well, yeah.
I feel like it's one of those first teams where like their star player isn't mainly a point guard.
Yeah. Well, Gonzaga always had solid big men. I never think
Bonus, Olenek.
Yeah.
What's the other name of the other guy? Tarnowski. Is that how? You remember their big guy that had like the beer, was an Uber driver?
Yeah. Solid, like I said, solid big men. Like I said, Gonzaga always had a big man that was always solid, or if not, pretty good.
I think it's a no-brainer.
In my opinion, I think Gonzaga has this.
Gonzaga has the Bulldogs, the Sags, over Creighton. Then let's get to the last matchup here. Michigan State Spartans, the 3 seed versus the number 2 seed Louisville.
You said Michigan State over Michigan State and Louisville?
Cassius Winston versus a team that we didn't think would be here, if you know what I mean. Because, like, after last season with Damian Lee and like the whole allegations. It was last year that Louisville wasn't allowed to make it to the March Madness, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's pretty cool that they like got ranked this high for this,
Mm-hmm.
and they had the record to prove it. Not only that, but they're in the ACC.
Oh yeah, Louisville this year under a new coach defensively, they're amazing. You know, they also have a lot of kids that surprise you offensively. But I would have to go with Louisville on this one just because defensively, like I said, they give a lot of people a run for their money. Especially a lot of people they tend to forget. Even though they lost that game against Duke, they made it very hard for each opponent every time. So in my honest opinion, this is a no-brainer for me. It's Louisville.
You got Louisville.
Yes.
I was going to disagree with you here. I think the Cash and Winston and the Tom Izzo train like had them beat in this matchup when I saw it. I don't know. I think Cash and Winston is really good. Like, man's like John Wall-esque, Allen Iverson-esque in the way that he would just like dribble his way and carry that team, like not just this season, last season too.
In my honest opinion, he's an amazing player. I never would have think Michigan State without him. I think Michigan State will only go as far as he will go. In my honest, I don't think they have anybody else that blew my mind or had me think otherwise. But the kid can play. But sorry, I'm still going with Louisville with this one.
I didn't think about that when I said that. That's a good point. Like the only guy I can think of right now from Michigan State would be Cassius Winston.
Yeah.
I'll go with Louisville because I feel like it's very hard in these tournaments to rely just on one person.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll go with Louisville. So now we're going to the next round. Now we don't necessarily need to go that in depth. We're just gonna like go on with our predictions. Really, we got Kansas versus Seton Hall.
Kansas.
Yeah, I gotta give it to Kansas just because, like, sure, Mouse Powell's good, but the Udoka matchup is just too difficult to even assess.
Yeah.
We got San Diego State versus Dayton.
Dayton.
In
my honest opinion.
Obi Toppin. I feel like Obi Toppin's better than any player in San Diego State, so I would have to say Dayton too on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Then we said Baylor, and then we got Florida State. That's tough.
With both defensively are both good, but offensively, I think I would have to go with Baylor with this one.
Baylor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like defensively, like you said, they're both good, but offensive-wise, I don't know if Florida State has enough compared to Baylor. Like, Baylor can do both the offense and the defense. So I have to go with Baylor for that one. Mm-hmm. And then lastly, we have Gonzaga versus Louisville. I think Gonzaga, in my opinion.
My opinion, yes. Like I said, offensively, now, like you said before, March Madness, this is a one game. You have to bring it all. And I think Gonzaga, the Zags, I think they have enough experience to make it over that hump. So I'll give it to the Zags.
I agree with you. They have the experience compared to Louisville in this, at least in recency. So now, for our Final Four, because it's not really a Final, but it's a Final Four. It's a Final Four. Kansas versus Dayton.
Now, Kansas and Dayton did play this year in the Maui Invitational. And even though Kansas won, Dayton almost pulled the upset. So they had to play again. After what I saw, I would give it to Dayton this time.
I think the one thing we can say is that wasn't the team at its full fruition. Like, that wasn't the full, like, Dayton at its highest peak, highest power. Obi Toppin was still, like, getting charged up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they still put up a battle.
He has all the momentum in the world. You know, he has momentum coming in, and I think he will be ready for that one.
Question is they don't have any big guy that would be like, because I'm assuming Toppin plays forward, a power forward at least for them, right? Or does he play like their big guy?
Well, even then, when I was watching them and I was observing, even though the big man from Kansas was dominating, Dayton just play tough, man. They play on both ends. They play that high pace. They got a lot of shooters out on the floor. And like I said, when you got a 6'9" center, technically not a center, he's a forward that can shoot the ball, dribble the ball, and make his team better. It's a matchup nightmare because now you bring a big man that's not used to guarding out in the perimeter out. And now
that's a good point. That's a really good point.
So that opens up.
One thing I want to bring is like, think about it like this. Like, Dayton could let Udoka do whatever they want. Like, yeah, sure, Killers on the inside, grab all the boards, score, all that. But as long as they can lock the rest of the team up with the defense that they have, Udoka ain't going to score 40. He probably is going to score like under 20 or something like that because he's only going to do twos.
Exactly.
So you can deal with him dominating and still get the victory, I feel like. So I agree with you. I think Dayton can come up on top. It would be like the best storyline in my opinion, specifically like how Toppin, John Wooden Award, make it to the championship game. So we got Gonzaga versus Baylor.
I'm gonna go with the Zags. I changed my. I'm gonna go with the Zags.
Is that your final answer?
Go with the Zags.
I'm looking at this and I'm like, Gonzaga should win this on paper, in my opinion.
Well, on paper, yes.
Not even on paper. You could say just like because of the eye test. Because sure, Baylor defensively they're sound and all that, but at the end of the day, the way Gonzaga plays basketball and their offense rolls and everything, their ninth guy on the bench will be able to drop 15, 17 on you, just because of how they play as a team. So, I agree. There's not much of an argument in my opinion. You gotta give it to Gonzaga.
Yeah.
So now we got our championship game, Jahki. You got Gonzaga Bulldogs versus the Dayton Flyers.
I know my boys Fred and Safet we're gonna watch this thing and be like, yo, Kai crazy. But I'm gonna go with Dayton on this one.
You got them winning all of this?
I got Dayton winning. Now, listen, this is the bracket. Now, if it was the full 64, I don't have it going this far. In my honest opinion, I don't have them going this far. But
yeah, we definitely got to take into consideration the fact that it's not a normal March Madness bracket. It's like a smaller field, so like it would be technically 1, 2, 3, 4 games max. Like it's not as like it's 6, so it's more easier for like a team to go on a run. So that's a good point. I have to disagree with you on this. I have to give it with the Sags. I have to give it to the Bulldogs. I just see Mark Few. I hope that's his name right. Mark Few. I see Mark Few and the way he's done this program throughout the years, ever since it was Adam Morrison before his time, and now it's like the actual good people that turn out to be actually good.
Yeah.
I feel like you gotta give it to Gonzaga, especially with like not only the big guys they have, but like the guards they have, and every player experience. Not only experience, but every player is part of the culture in that sense. So it's like I feel like Gonzaga has a little bit of San Antonio Spurs in them. You know what I'm trying to get at?
Yeah.
Like the way they play basketball. It's just so.
Yeah.
There we have to disagree, in my opinion. I'm gonna have to disagree with you. I got Gonzaga, and you got Dayton. So we'll see if whatever happens with college sports after this all coronavirus and everything's done. We'll see what happens. Honestly, we'll have to see. But there you have it, folks. Those are our picks. Now, onto our second topic. So, me and Jahki work for Ryder Men's Basketball. I worked there for 2 years, and Jahki's been for a year, and what should be, if hopefully college basketball comes back, a second year. So, what do you think about like the new team? Because I've left, and I mean I've heard a little bit of what's happened with the moves, but like, what do you think about this new team coming up?
I would say if I describe this team, and if I had to talk about like I said, describe, I would say young. I think we're a very young team this year, in my honest opinion. Keeping Fred and keeping Demencio would have been a very big help off a veteran side of you because, yes, Christian Ains, Ajiri, AP and Rel, they are considered veterans, but when you have 2,000-point scorers and know what it takes to get to that next level, I think you can't beat that,
You can't.
in my honest opinion.
Let me
But
get this. Let me get this right. So, because of those transfers, and then what? The people that graduated. Is there
yes,
no current senior in the team, or am I wrong?
we have a grad transfer. He is doing his grad year there, so I think right now he's the only senior, I believe.
Well, besides him, there's technically no senior.
Yeah. He's a grad year, so we consider him a senior. But like I said, it's a very young team where it's freshmen, 2 transfers as in JUCO and then the grad year. And the reason why I would say they're young because they never played in the MAC before.
Mm-hmm.
So coming from and I can speak on this because I played Division III college basketball, conference games in high school were totally different from college, where in high school you always had that one team that you better not lose to because they suck. And then at college, you can look at the record and then they'll beat you the next night.
Mm-hmm. It don't matter. It don't matter how bad they are. If they came to play that day, they came to play that day, and you're the person that was the victim of it.
Mm-hmm. College conference on play always would teach you that you have to come ready to play because you don't know who's gonna win, who's gonna lose. It's just like March Madness in college in basketball when it comes to conference play. Anybody can beat anybody at a single point. Like for this year, we lost to teams that, in my honest opinion, on paper as well, we should have won.
No, I've been a person that's seen it like before my eyes since I recorded the games. Like I be seeing this happen in front of us, and it's like, what's happening, bro? What's happening?
Yeah, and that's what I said. When you have a team where they don't have nothing to lose, when you have the seed where in the MAC, I believe that everybody makes it, but at the end of the day, you gotta go out swinging. So, we played some teams where I felt like we was a little bit too comfortable, in my opinion, dominating them the second time around.
Yeah.
So, but also it plays, home court advantage plays a part. It plays a part
it does play a part because we've been a very historically good home team. We've really been exceptional at home, and I think that helps because like our crowd, even though it's not the biggest like place for like a basketball audience to be at, they're rowdy, and you hear from the stands like they don't shut up and they're not afraid to say anything.
It's tough to play at the zoo.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough to play at the Bronx Zoo, in my opinion.
The one thing I was bringing up with like saying that there's no seniors technically, like no actual seniors, like there really hasn't been people that have been there for over like 2-3 years of experience of being in the Rider basketball system. That's what I was trying to get at. So it's gonna be interesting to see if everyone's gonna gel, adjust, and actually like it's gonna go from like pen to paper, I guess you could say, like if it's gonna actually translate to the court.
Well, with this team right here, each individual player are pretty good, in my honest opinion. Mm-hmm. The one person that stuck out to me as a person that's coming in is Jeremiah Pope, where in my opinion, he can score the basketball, mid-range, shoot the three. He's very athletic. I think if Demencio and Fred would have stayed, I believe that he would have helped us tremendously. But that's not the case. That's not the case right now. I think he stuck out to me a lot because the way how we play, it's a lot of athletic kids that we had from last year coming in this year, and the freshmen that's coming in, they're good. Honestly, they can come in and make a big impact. We're a very young team, so it's a lot of gelling, just catching.
It's a process.
Progress. But my honest opinion, I expect us to have a pretty decent season this year. In my honest opinion, we're gonna shock a lot of people with this team that we have.
Hey, hopefully, Ryder needs to be up at the mountain.
Oh yeah.
Ryder needs to be up in the mountain. What do you think is gonna happen since like the dynamic last year when we had Stevie being our point guard and him kind of taking over the offense, and then you had like Demencio, Fred, those was like scorers, like you mentioned, like you went off earlier. Like they were really good scorers for us. We had a good center at Tyre who, like a traditional big guy, just put him in the block, he'll go to work. What do you think it's gonna be now? Like who's gonna like I guess the passing of the torch? Who's gonna be the our guy this season? What's your prediction, or how you think it's gonna happen? Or
Christians,
is it more like Mr. Ings?
Christians.
He's got. I see since the first day I saw him at practice. I feel like he's got a little Russell Westbrook in him.
In my opinion, because the kid, he's very confident in himself. That's the thing, and he's a dog. You know, even though his freshman year, he didn't have the freshman year I think that he wanted to have. The kid is still learning, in my honest opinion. He's a dog. Like I said, you can't teach that dog mentality as a basketball player. Either you have it or don't. But I think with his leadership, I think the kids will follow suit. So if I had to say who's going to be passing the torch, who we pass the torch to, I think it would be Chris Haynes.
Okay, I can definitely see that because he's got the athleticism, the mentality already, and that's a good point. A lot of these kids that go to college, they think they're the best, and then they realize, oh wait, college is actually a different step up. But being able to keep the mentality and the confidence, that's something that doesn't come natural. So like he's already got that mental aspect, and all he's got to do is put the work now.
I think he has something to prove. So this year, I think this is going to be a big year for him because now that he's going to be, I believe he should be a captain because of, he played a lot last year. So my honest opinion, I think he has something to prove. So I'm going to give it to Chris Haynes.
Okay. Any final thoughts you want to add or anything else about the team this season?
We're gonna shock the world. In my honest, we're gonna shock the world.
Yeah, I hope you guys do.
Yeah, man.
Now, the last topic we got on our podcast, we're basically gonna like go back memory lane. So like when you start like watching college basketball, or when you try to remember, what would you say is like the one team or the moment in college basketball that made you become a fan and love it, or not stop enjoying it and watching it and everything? Like, what's that moment or team that you go, that's why I started watching or being involved with college basketball?
If I had to say, to be honest, I will go back to when Kyrie Irving was playing at Duke. And the reason why I would say that, because at that time, I wasn't necessarily a basketball fanatic, or I wasn't really a student of the game at that time. I loved how Kyrie Irving was playing, even though he played only 11 games over there.
Yeah.
That Duke team, that Duke history, I would say just the Duke history that made me want to watch college basketball. Coach K, the Grant Hills, the Bobby Hurleys. In my honest opinion, I think that helped me want to get focused on college basketball more than the NBA. And there's no knock on the NBA. I honestly believe college basketball will be more entertaining for me because kids are not getting paid to do what they're doing right now. And plus, it's this young talent. You're surprised. Every game is always surprise. So I would just say the Duke legacy made me fall in love with college basketball.
I love that. That's a good point. Because Duke has had a tremendous amount of talent throughout the years. Coach K, arguably like the greatest coach of college basketball. I mean, yeah. And your point with what you said, I prefer college basketball for the one truly reason where, one, like you said, anything can happen and it's really not unexpected because you have so many teams and so many variables. And second, it's more fundamentally sound, I guess you could say. Or the way that I like basketball, I like the fact that they actually will have plays and they'll actually like be like, okay, we can do a zone defense, or like we'll do this as our strategy, and then like it's I feel like it's a different type of basketball. And then the NBA is more entertainment based, I guess you could say.
Well, a lot of people, when they watch the Spurs, a lot of people will say the Spurs are boring because they play fundamental basketball, and that's the best way you can play it. And in my opinion, even though the game has evolved where you see a big man becoming shooting guards, and they're dribbling, and they actually like making themselves look like point guards, fundamentally, you can't beat that. The reason why believe Tim Duncan will always be the top power forward out of everybody else because fundamentally you can't teach you can teach fundamentals in my honest opinion, but once you master it, it's hard to guard. It's very hard to guard, and a lot of people they want to do this the fancy, behind the backs crossovers in my opinion, but if you can't do a basic crossover or a basic between the legs, like
there's no point in trying the other stuff because if you can't do the basics, why try to be like? It just doesn't make sense. And that's a really good point because Tim Duncan, sure, he's boring. Oh, he's just this and that, bro. The man is the definition of fundamentals, and the reason he's been successful for his whole career. Sure, you can attain it to Greg Popovich, but the man, legit, turn around, bank shot, turn around, hook, turn around, fake, pump fake. Actually, like, see if anyone's. Oh, the man was just the living definition of fundamental basketball.
And that's why when Greg Pop was there, that's why that team would always excel. Even though this year they're having a rough year because injuries.
It's not the same Spurs. It's not the same
Spurs. But in my honest opinion, if I would have to tell a kid to watch an NBA team, I would say watch the Spurs because fundamentally they're very sound. And people will say, oh, well, they do flashy stuff as well. Yeah, because they know how to do the basic stuff. The basic something that's flashy to you is not flashy to them. That's just the basic pass, a no pass, a fadeaway, or between the leg pass. It's it's honestly fundamentals. That's what I feel like a lot of kids, a lot of people forget about is really it goes back down to the fundamental of basketball. Because I remember I was getting recruited by a community college coach, and he sat down and talked to me. He said, "Listen, if you can't do a basic crossover, how do I expect you to do all this between the leg, cross, and you can't do just between the legs?" So, I honestly, I'll sit there and say what I said.
Okay. No, I agree with you. Fundamentals are very important. And I feel like it gets forgotten a little bit now for like the younger generation, especially because we're in this era where it's just, oh my God, just shoot it from three. It's more points. Everyone can be Steph Curry. But Steph Curry worked his ass off to be that good in the shooting mechanics. And that's fundamentals. Because the shooting form, that's fundamentals. So at the end of the day, fundamentals are everything. Yeah. But not trying to get sidetracked in basically all of this. For me, basically the first ever time that I was like, I love college basketball, and this is like it for me, was Madison Square Garden, a 6-7 overtime game in the Big East tournament. You had Syracuse with Johnny Flynn. If I'm not mistaken, that was Andy Rollins too, the shooting guard that got drafted by the Knicks later, but he's forgotten for a reason. That was the Johnny Flynn team. And sadly, Johnny Flynn had those couple seasons in the NBA where he was like a baller. And I don't even know if it was injuries. I can't even remember at the time now. But
he had a good
against UConn, bro, that UConn team, it was Kemba Walker, Shabazz Napier. Wait. Kemba Walker was a rookie? Not a rookie. You know what I mean? He was a freshman or.
Am
I bugging? Because now I'm trying to think back if I'm bugging.
But no, I understand what you're saying, though.
It was Hasheem Thabeet. I'm so stupid. It was the Hasheem Thabeet team. But, yeah, that 6-7 overtime game, without a doubt. I stayed up that whole night watching that game with my family. Everyone fell asleep. I was a little kid. I was the only one that was, like, up still going, like, yeah. Like, that game was it. That game was amazing. All the people that fouled out, all the plays that happened, the fact that it's in Madison Square Garden, the city that never sleeps, have a 6-7 overtime game.
That would be one of the best college games, in my honest opinion, because when you think about it, you hear it, double overtime, triple overtime, but for it to go to 4, 5, 6 overtimes, that's as a fan, it's amazing. As a fan, it's amazing. As a player, that might be tiring. Also, it's something that you always will remember.
The
So
game finished 127 to 117, bro. It was AJ Price. AJ Price was the point guard for UConn. Him and Johnny Flynn both dropped 33 points.
Listen, man, that game right there, that was something to watch.
It really was. And then what I think is even crazy is that years later you had that Notre Dame versus Louisville game. Am I right? I know Notre Dame was in the game, but it was even 7 or 8 overtimes that happened.
I think it might be Louisville, if I'm not mistaken.
And that was crazy.
A long time ago. I'm not gonna lie to you. I gotta like freshen up on my college basketball history. But no, I think I know who you talk about. Even then, games like that you can never honestly forget. You can't forget those games. In my honest opinion, even as a player, as a coach, I think it's better as a coach because you sit there and be like, listen, I took them to over. You know, you get what I'm saying?
It was 5 overtimes, and it was Louisville.
Yeah, man. Listen, like I said, as a fan, it's something that's amazing to watch. You get what I'm saying? You go in there, you buy your ticket. You don't expect to go 5 overtimes. You don't expect that.
You don't expect that. That's the best way to get the best out of your money too, if you think about it.
Yeah, man.
But that's definitely for me. That was the moment I was like, I love college basketball. I need to watch it more.
Yeah.
So we're at the end of the episode. Any last words or final thoughts, Jahki?
Continue the podcast, man. You know, I'm a big fan of yours. You know, you're my brother. I'm gonna support you to the long run. So, do your thing, man.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. And I'm thankful for you being on the podcast. I really appreciate it, my homie.
Anytime, man. Anytime.
So, thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for watching. Peace out, people.